The massive alien ship hung in space like a dark metal mountain. Its hull stretched for miles, covered in weapons that could destroy entire cities. Admiral Zethkar stood on the bridge, looking down at the small blue planet below, Earth, the home of the humans. He did not like humans. They were new to space travel. They had only discovered faster-than-light flight 50 years ago. Yet somehow, these small pink creatures had spread to 12 star systems. They built colonies where they did not belong. They took resources that belonged to older, wiser species. Today, that would end. Contact the human government, Zethkar ordered. His voice was deep and harsh like grinding stone. Tell them their ambassador must come aboard at once. The communications officer, a thin creature with 4 arms, began sending the message. Within an hour, a small human shuttle approached the massive Galactic Council ship. It looked like a tiny insect next to the alien vessel. Ambassador Maria Santos stepped off the shuttle and into the alien ship. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. 2 security guards walked with her, but they looked nervous. The alien corridors were huge and dark. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. They brought her to a vast chamber where 12 alien leaders waited. Each one represented a different species from the Galactic Council. Some were tall and thin with multiple arms. Others were short and covered in scales. One looked like a giant spider made of metal. All of them stared at the human woman with cold eyes. Admiral Zethkar stepped forward. He was 8 feet tall with blue-gray skin and teeth like knives. His uniform was black with gold markings that showed his high rank in the Vorthic Empire. Human, he said, his voice echoing in the large room. You stand before the Galactic Council. We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. Your species is nothing but children playing with dangerous toys. Ambassador Santos did not look afraid. She had dealt with bullies before. Admiral Zethkar, she said calmly. I greet you on behalf of the United Earth government. What brings the council? To our solar system? Zethkar laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Your arrogance amuses me, human. You ask what brings us here? Your people bring us here. You expand into systems that do not belong to you. You take worlds that have been claimed by council members for centuries. Another alien leader spoke. This one looked like a walking tree, with glowing red eyes. The humans have colonies in the Kepler 442 system, it said in a voice like wind through leaves. That system belongs to the Xanthari Collective. They have mining rights there. The humans also built a research station near the Proxima Centauri trade routes, added a creature that looked like a floating jellyfish. Those routes are protected by council law. Ambassador Santos listened to each complaint. When they finished, she spoke clearly. The systems you mentioned were empty when we arrived. We found no signs of active colonies or mining operations. Under galactic law, empty systems can be claimed by any species capable of using them. The aliens began to speak angrily among themselves. Their voices rose in different languages and sounds. Some hissed, others clicked or buzzed. Admiral Zethkar raised his hand for silence. You quote galactic law to us? He said. We wrote those laws. The systems you took belong to council members. It does not matter if they were empty. They were claimed long before your species even knew fire existed. And then show us the claim documents? Ambassador Santos replied. Under the same laws you mentioned, all territorial claims must be filed with proper documentation. Zethkar's eyes narrowed. The truth was that many of those systems had been claimed informally. The older species had simply agreed among themselves. Who owned what? They had never expected a new species to challenge their arrangements. You test our patience, human, Zethkar growled. The Galactic Council has decided. Your species will withdraw from all disputed territories within 72 standard hours. You will remove all colonies, stations, and ships from these systems. You will return to your home system and stay there until the Council decides you are ready to join galactic civilization properly. The other alien leaders nodded in agreement. Some smiled with too many teeth. They expected the human to beg or ask for more time. They had given this same ultimatum to 3 other species in the past. All had backed down rather than face the might of the Council fleet. Ambassador Santos was quiet for a long moment. She looked at each alien leader in turn, then she spoke. "And if we refuse?" The chamber fell silent. Even the humming of the ship's engines seemed to grow quieter. The aliens looked at each other in surprise. No species had ever asked that question before. Admiral Zethkar leaned forward. His voice became very soft and dangerous. "If you refuse, human, the Council will send our Grand Fleet to remove you by force. We will destroy every human ship, station, and colony outside your home system. We will blockade Earth until your people learn their proper place in the galaxy." He gestured to a large display screen that activated behind him. It showed images of massive alien warships. Hundreds of them, each one larger and more powerful than anything humanity had ever built. "Behold the Apex Squadron," Zethkar said with pride. "The finest ships from each Council member species. The most experienced crews in the galaxy, the most advanced weapons ever created. Each ship in this squadron could destroy your entire Earth fleet by itself." The images showed terrible weapons in action. Energy beams that melted asteroids, missiles that could crack moons, shields that could stop the power of a sun. "The Eternal Dominion alone," Zethkar continued, pointing to a ship that looked like a dark metal cathedral, "carries enough firepower to turn your Earth into a dead rock. And that is just one ship. The Apex Squadron has 50 such vessels." Ambassador Santos studied the images carefully. She had seen them before, of course. Earth's intelligence agencies had been watching the Council fleets for years. But she let the aliens think they were impressing her. "These are indeed powerful ships," she said finally. "But Admiral, you seem to have made an assumption." "What assumption?" Zethkar demanded. "You assume that we are afraid." The aliens began to mutter among themselves again. The spider-like creature clicked its metal legs nervously. The floating jellyfish pulsed with angry colors. "You should be afraid," said the tree-like alien. "Your species has been in space for only 50 years. We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000. Your technology is primitive compared to ours." Ambassador Santos smiled slightly. "Our technology may be different from yours, but different does not always mean inferior." "Enough of this foolishness," Zethkar snapped. "You have heard our terms. 72 hours to withdraw from all disputed systems. What is your answer?" Ambassador Santos stood straighter. When she spoke, her voice carried clearly through the chamber. "I will relay your ultimatum to my government. They will give you their answer within the time limit you have set." "Good," Zethkar said. "Perhaps your leaders have more sense than you do." But Ambassador Santos was not finished. "However, I feel I should warn you of something." "Warn us?" The alien admiral's voice was full of disbelief. "You dare to warn the Galactic Council?" "Humanity has a saying," Santos continued calmly. "Never start a fight you cannot finish. I suggest you remember that." The aliens erupted in angry sounds again. Some laughed. Others hissed threats. But Ambassador Santos noticed that a few looked thoughtful. They had heard stories about human wars. Stories about a species that fought each other for thousands of years and somehow grew stronger from it. "Remove this insolent creature from my sight," Zethkar ordered. The security guards escorted Ambassador Santos back to her shuttle. As she walked through the alien corridors, she activated a small device hidden in her jacket. It sent a coded message to Earth. The message was very short. "Ultimatum received. Recommend option 7. On Earth, the message reached the Global Defense Council within minutes. The military leaders gathered in a secret bunker deep underground. They read the message and looked at each other grimly. General Harrison, the head of Earth's Space Forces, spoke first. "Option 7 it is, then. How long until the Indomitable is ready?" "Captain Chen reports full readiness," replied Admiral Kim. "All systems tested and operational. The crew is standing by." The aliens gave us 72 hours, said President Williams, who had joined the meeting by secure video link. "That should be enough time to get our ship into position." Are we sure about this? Asked General Martinez. The Council fleet is massive. Even with our advantages, we're talking about 50 alien warships against one of ours. General Harrison smiled grimly. The aliens think they know what humanity is capable of. They're about to learn they were wrong. Meanwhile, in space near Earth, a sleek ship prepared for departure. The U's Indomitable looked small compared to the alien vessels shown in the Council's presentation, but its hull was made of materials the aliens had never seen. Its engines used principles they did not understand. Its weapons were designed by a species that had been perfecting the art of war for thousands of years. Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge, watching Earth turn slowly below. She had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. The chance to show the galaxy what humanity could do when pushed too far. All stations report ready, said her second-in-command, Commander Torres. Set course for the Kepler 442 system, Chun ordered. Maximum stealth configuration. If the aliens want to see what we're made of, we'll give them a demonstration they'll never forget. The Indomitable disappeared into the darkness between stars, invisible to alien sensors. Behind it, Earth's shipyards worked at full speed, building more ships like it. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species. They were about to discover their mistake. In the Galactic Council ship, Admiral Zethkar waited for humanity's surrender. He was confident it would come. It always did. No species was foolish enough to fight the combined might of the Council. He had no idea that humanity was different. He did not understand that humans had a very simple response to bullies: hit back. Twice as hard. The countdown had begun. In 72 hours, the galaxy would change forever. The Apex Squadron dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system like a pack of metal predators. 50 massive warships materialized in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant star's light. Each ship was a masterpiece of alien engineering, designed to inspire fear in any enemy. Admiral Zethkar stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, watching the tactical displays with satisfaction. His flagship was the largest ship in the formation, stretching nearly 3 miles from bow to stern. Its dark hull bristled with enough weapons to level a continent. All ships report ready for combat operations, announced his tactical officer, a 4-armed creature named Vexstar. Long-range sensors are scanning the system for human vessels. What do you detect? Zethkar asked. Vexstar studied his instruments with growing confusion. Admiral, the human colonies are here. 3 mining stations and a small research outpost. But I detect no defensive fleet. No military vessels at all. This puzzled Zethkar. Intelligence reports had suggested the humans would mount some kind of defense. Even primitive species usually tried to protect their territory when threatened. Perhaps they fled, suggested Commander Kithver, a serpentine alien with glowing yellow eyes. The humans may have seen the wisdom of retreat when faced with our superior force. Cowards, spat General Thrakmar, a massive creature that looked like a walking boulder. I expected more fight from a species that claims to be warriors. Zethkar was about to agree when his communications officer spoke up. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from within the system. From the colonies? Zethkar asked. No, sir. The signal originates from coordinates near the 4th planet. But our sensors show nothing there. Put it through, Zethkar ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life. A calm, professional voice filled the chamber. It spoke in perfectly clear galactic standard, with just a hint of an accent that marked it as human. Attention Galactic Council. Vessels, this is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earthship Indomitable. You are trespassing in human space. Leave now or be destroyed. The alien bridge crew fell silent for a moment. Then several of them began to laugh. The sound echoed through the massive chamber like the growling of beasts. Did this human just threaten us? Asked Commander Kithver, wiping tears from his eyes. 1 ship against 50, chuckled General Thrakmar. These humans have more courage than sense. But Admiral Zethkar was not laughing. He was studying his tactical displays with growing concern. Where is this ship? Our sensors detect no vessels. In the coordinates the transmission came from, Vexstar worked frantically at his station. I am running full spectrum scans, Admiral. There is definitely something there, but our sensors cannot get a clear reading. It is as if the ship exists, but does not exist at the same time. Impossible, Zethkar growled. No technology can hide from Council sensors. Increase scan power to maximum. Already at maximum, sir. Wait. I am detecting quantum fluctuations in that area. Very faint, but consistent with some kind of cloaking. Field, Zethkar's eyes narrowed. The humans had cloaking technology? The Council had experimented with such devices for centuries, but had never made them practical for use on large warships. All ships maintain formation, he ordered. Target. The coordinates of that transmission. If there is a human ship hiding there, we will blast it into atoms. The massive alien vessels began to turn their weapons toward the empty space where the human transmission had originated. Energy cannons charged with deadly power. Missile tubes loaded with ship-killer warheads. Weapons ready, Admiral, reported. Vexstar. Open fire, Zethkar commanded. The space around the coordinates erupted in destruction. Energy beams from 50 ships converged on a single point. Missiles streaked through the void like falling stars. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. For several seconds, space itself seemed to burn. Then the weapon's fire stopped, leaving only glowing particles and radiation where the attack had struck. Target destroyed, announced Vexstar with satisfaction, but his celebration was cut short when the human voice spoke again. This time it came from a completely different location, several thousand kilometers away. Impressive light show, Captain Chun said calmly. But you missed. The aliens scrambled to locate the new transmission source. Again, their sensors detected only quantum fluctuations and empty space. This is impossible, snarled General Thrakmer. No ship can move that fast without our sensors detecting it? Admiral Zethkar was beginning to feel the first stirrings of unease. The humans were demonstrating technology the Council did not understand. That had not happened in over 1,000 years, Captain Chun, he said, opening a communication channel. I am Admiral Zethkar of the Galactic Council. You command. Only one ship against our 50. Surrender now and your crew will be treated with honor. The human's response was immediate. Admiral, you seem to be under a misunderstanding. You think this is 50 ships against one. But you're wrong. Then how many ships do you have? Zethkar demanded. I have exactly what I need, Chun replied. Nothing more, nothing less. Before Zethkar could respond, alarms began screaming throughout his ship. The tactical displays flashed red as his sensors finally detected something. Contact! Shouted Vexstar. Human vessel decloaking directly behind our formation. The use. Indomitable appeared like a ghost becoming solid. It was smaller than the alien ships, sleek and angular where they were bulky and ornate. Its hull was a dark blue-gray color that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, but size was not everything. As the alien crews watched in shock, the human ship opened fire. The Indomitable's weapons were unlike anything the Council had seen before. Instead of energy beams or plasma bolts, it launched solid projectiles at incredible speeds. Tungsten rods, each one weighing several tons, accelerated to nearly 20% of light speed. The kinetic weapon struck the nearest alien ship before its crew could even react. The Council vessel's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered little protection against solid matter moving at such velocity. The tungsten rods punched through the alien hull like needles through paper. The Corvin battlecruiser is hit, Vexstar reported in shock. Massive hull breaches on decks 7 through 15. They are venting atmosphere. A second volley from the Indomitable struck another Council ship. This time the target was a Zenthari heavy cruiser, its organic hull covered in living armor that could regenerate from energy weapon damage. But the kinetic rounds tore through the living tissue like it was soft clay. All ships, return fire, Zethkar bellowed. Destroy that human vessel. The Council fleet turned to engage their tormentor. 50 of the galaxy's most advanced warships brought their weapons to bear on the single human ship. Energy cannons charged. Missile launchers prepared to fire. But the Indomitable was already moving. The human ship accelerated with impossible speed, its fusion engines producing thrust levels that should have crushed any organic crew. It twisted through space like a striking snake, changing direction in ways that violated everything the aliens knew about physics and engineering. The Council's return fire lit up the void, but every shot missed its target. The human ship seemed to know where the aliens would aim before they fired. It danced between energy beams and missile explosions with graceful precision. "How are they moving like that?" demanded Commander Kithver. "Those acceleration forces should kill their crew. Their inertial compensators must be far more advanced than ours," Vexstar replied, his voice filled with disbelief. "And their pilot? No organic being could react that fast?" He was right. The Indomitable was not being piloted by human reflexes alone. Its artificial intelligence system could process tactical information and execute maneuvers faster than any biological crew. Every alien weapon lock was detected and countered before the shot was fired. Captain Cheen sat in her command chair, watching the battle unfold on her displays. Her crew worked with calm efficiency around her, their movements precise and practiced. "Enemy formation is breaking up," reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Walsh. "They're trying to surround us." "Let them," Chun replied. "Commander Torres, prepare the second phase weapons." "Aye, Captain." Railguns charging to full power. The Indomitable's next attack was even more devastating. Its electromagnetic railguns launched projectiles at even higher velocities than the first volley. These rounds were designed to penetrate deep into enemy vessels before exploding. A Vorthek destroyer simply vanished in a ball of fire as its reactor core was breached. A hegemony cruiser broke in half when its structural frame was severed. Another ship listed helplessly as its engine section was torn away. In less than 5 minutes, the mighty Apex Squadron had lost 6 ships and seen 3 more badly damaged. The survivors were in disarray, their perfect formations scattered across thousands of kilometers of space. Admiral Zethkar watched the destruction with growing horror. His greatest fear was coming true. The humans were not primitive barbarians. They were something far more dangerous, a warrior species with advanced technology and the will to use it. "All ships, form defensive pattern 7, he ordered. "Concentrate our fire. That human ship cannot dodge forever." But even as he gave the command, Zethkar knew he was wrong. The Indomitable moved like it was reading his mind, anticipating every tactic his officers suggested. Its cloaking system allowed it to vanish and reappear at will, striking from unexpected angles. "Captain," Chion's voice cut through the chaos of battle. "Admiral Zethkar, you wanted to see what humanity is capable of. This is just the beginning." The human ship disappeared again, leaving the alien sensors scanning empty space. But this time, Zethkar noticed something different. There were quantum signatures in multiple locations around his fleet. "Admiral," Vexstar said with dawning fear in his voice, "I am detecting cloaked objects in 12 different positions around our formation." "Impossible," Zethkar whispered. "Intelligence said they only had 1 ship." "Maybe they lied," came Chun's voice over the communication channel. "Or maybe you didn't ask the right questions." But as the sensor readings became clearer, Vexstar realized the truth. "Admiral, it is still just 1 ship. But it is moving between those positions faster than our sensors can track. It is creating the illusion of multiple vessels." The tactical implications hit Zethkar like a physical blow. The human ship was not just fast, it was impossibly fast. It could strike from any direction at any time, and his crews would never see it coming. Another council ship died in nuclear fire as the Indomitable materialized long enough to deliver a killing blow before vanishing again, then another, and another. The hunters had become the hunted. The mighty Galactic Council fleet found itself at the mercy of a single human warship that fought like a demon from their darkest myths. And somewhere in the depths of space, Captain Sarah Chun smiled grimly as she prepared to show the galaxy Exactly what happened when you threatened humanity. The battle was far from over, but already the outcome was becoming clear. The Council had brought their best. It would not be enough. The Apex Squadron was dying. Admiral Zethkar watched his tactical display with growing despair as another Council ship exploded in brilliant fire. The hegemony battleship Crushing Victory had lasted less than 30 seconds against the human vessel. Its massive armor, designed to withstand the heaviest weapons in the galaxy, had been torn apart like wet paper. "Damage report," he ordered through gritted teeth. Vextar's 4 hands worked frantically over his console. "We have lost 9 ships completely destroyed, sir. 7 more are heavily damaged and pulling back. The Zenthari cruiser Living Fortress is venting atmosphere from 12 hull breaches. The Corvan destroyer Swift Death has lost all weapons and is dead in space. 9 ships." In less than 20 minutes, the humans had destroyed 9 of the galaxy's finest warships. Ships that had taken years to build and decades to train their crews. "Where is the human vessel now?" Zethkar demanded. "Unknown, Admiral." It cloaked. Again after destroying the Crushing Victory. "Our sensors show quantum disturbances in 17 different locations." Zethkar slammed his fist against his command chair. The human ship was playing with them, moving so fast between positions that it seemed to be everywhere at once. Each time his ships tried to target it, the vessel would vanish and appear somewhere else entirely. "Admiral," called Commander Kithver from his position at the communications station, "the surviving ship captains are requesting permission to withdraw. Morale is breaking down. Some crews are talking about desertion." The words hit Zethkar like a slap across the face. His crews were elite soldiers from 12 different species. They had never known defeat. Yet now they spoke of running from a single enemy ship. "Denied," he growled. "We do not run from primitives. All ships will maintain position and fight." But even as he spoke, Zethkar knew his authority was crumbling. The other Council species had joined this mission expecting an easy victory. They had brought their best ships to intimidate the humans, not to fight a real battle. Now they were paying the price for their arrogance. The Indomitable appeared again, this time directly above the Council formation. Captain Cheen had positioned her ship so that the alien vessels would have to fire through each other to hit her. It was a masterful tactical move that showed she understood their formations better than they did. The human ship unleashed another devastating volley. This time the target was a massive Thurkari dreadnought, a ship so large it carried its own fighter squadrons. The kinetic round struck with pinpoint accuracy, hitting the dreadnought's fighter bays just as its small craft were launching. The explosion was spectacular. The fighter fuel and ammunition cooked off in a chain reaction that tore the giant ship apart from the inside. Escape pods began launching as the crew abandoned their dying vessel. 10 ships, Vextar reported quietly. "We have lost 10 ships." Captain Chin's voice cut through the chaos on the Council communication channels. "Admiral Zethkar, your crews are dying for your pride. Order them to withdraw and I will let them go." Zethkar's eyes blazed with fury. "Never, the Galactic Council does not negotiate with terrorists." "Terrorists?" Chun's voice carried a note of amusement. "Admiral, you came to my system with 50 warships and demanded we abandon our homes. Who exactly is the terrorist here?" Before Zethkar could respond, another ship died. The Vorthek heavy cruiser Domination fell to a precision strike that severed its main power conduits. The ship went dark and began drifting helplessly through space. The remaining Council vessels were now spread across thousands of kilometers, their formation completely broken. Some ships tried to hide behind asteroids. Others attempted to flee to the edge of the system. A few brave captains still tried to fight, but their shots continued to miss the impossibly agile human vessel. Captain Sarah Chun sat in her command chair, watching the battle displays with calm satisfaction. Her ship's artificial intelligence was feeding her constant updates on enemy positions and movements. The AI could predict alien tactics with 97% accuracy, making the Indomitable nearly untouchable. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Commander Walsh from the tactical station, The enemy formation has completely collapsed. They are no longer fighting as a coordinated unit. Good, Chun replied. Begin phase 3. Target their command ship. The Eternal Dominion was easy to spot. It was by far the largest vessel in the alien fleet, and it had been hanging back from the main battle. Admiral Zethkar had kept his flagship out of the worst fighting, probably hoping to survive long enough to claim some kind of victory that was about to change. The Indomitable altered course, its fusion engines pushing it toward the alien flagship. At incredible speed, the human ship's acceleration was so intense that any unprotected crew would have been crushed into paste. But the Indomitable's inertial dampeners were generations ahead of anything the Council possessed. Incoming human vessel, Vexstar shouted. It is heading directly for us. All weapons fire at will. Zethkar commanded. Destroy that ship. The Eternal Dominion was armed with the most powerful weapons in the Vorthak arsenal. Energy cannons that could melt mountains, plasma torpedoes that burned hotter than stars, particle beams that could cut through any known material. All of them missed. The Indomitable twisted through the weapon fire, like a dancer avoiding raindrops. Its pilot seemed to know where each shot would go before the alien gunners even fired. The ship spun and rolled through space, never slowing its approach toward the massive flagship. Impact in 30 seconds, Vexstar reported. The human ship is going to ram us. But Qin had no intention of ramming the alien vessel. At the last possible moment, the Indomitable rolled to port and unleashed its most devastating attack yet. Rail. Gun rounds struck the Eternal Dominion shields at point-blank range. The alien energy barriers, already weakened by the intensity of the human weapons, collapsed entirely. The kinetic projectiles punched deep into the flagship's hull, tearing through armor plating and internal bulkheads. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the alien ship. Atmosphere rushed out of dozens of hull breaches. Internal explosions lit up entire sections as the tungsten rounds found critical systems. Engineering reports massive damage. Vexstar called out over the noise. We have lost primary power to weapons and shields. Life support is failing on decks 12 through 28. Admiral Zethkar felt his ship shudder as another explosion rocked the massive vessel. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. The lights flickered and dimmed. Damage control teams to all affected areas, he ordered, but he knew it was too late. The Eternal Dominion was dying just like the rest of his fleet. The human ship had moved on to other targets. A Zenthari battlecruiser tried to ram the Indomitable but missed completely as the human vessel simply stepped aside at the last moment. The alien ship's return fire was wild and desperate, more likely to hit friendly vessels than the enemy, Captain. Chun opened a general communication channel to all surviving Council ships. This is your final warning. Withdraw from human space immediately, or I will destroy every vessel in your fleet. Some ships began to comply. The surviving Corvan vessels, known for their pragmatism, immediately began charging their hyperspace engines. A few Zenthari ships followed suit, their captains finally accepting that this battle could not be won, but others refused to retreat. General Thurkari, commanding the remaining Thurkari ships, broadcast his own message. A Thurkari Empire does not flee from any enemy. All Thurkari vessels attack formation. 5 massive Thurkari dreadnoughts formed up in a battle line, their crews determined to restore some honor to the Council's reputation. These were the largest ships remaining in the alien fleet, each one heavily armored and armed with enough firepower to level a city. The Indomitable turned to meet them. What followed was a display of tactical brilliance that would be studied in military academies for generations. The human ship darted between the alien dreadnoughts like a fighter craft, too close for their heavy weapons to track effectively. It struck at weak points in their armor, targeting engine mounts and weapon systems with surgical precision. One by one, the Thurkari ships fell silent. Not destroyed, but crippled beyond repair. Captain Qin could have annihilated them completely, but she chose to disable them instead. It was a message. Humanity was not interested in genocide, only in defending what was theirs. General Thurkari His flagship dead in space and his fleet in ruins, finally understood what they were facing. The humans were not just technologically superior. They were tactically brilliant, strategically sound, and possessed of a restraint that spoke of true confidence in their abilities. "I surrender," he broadcast on all frequencies. "The Thrakari? Fleet surrenders to the human vessel." The words echoed through space, heard by every surviving council ship. The mighty Thrakari Empire, which had never surrendered to any enemy in 3,000 years of warfare, had been brought low by a single human warship. Admiral Zethkar sat in his darkened command center, watching his dreams of easy victory burn around him. More than half his fleet was gone. Most of the survivors were damaged beyond immediate repair. The greatest military force the Council had ever assembled had been shattered by one enemy ship. "Admiral," Vikstar said quietly, "we are receiving surrender transmissions from 17 Council vessels. They are requesting permission to withdraw." Zethkar closed his eyes. His career was over. His reputation was destroyed. The Galactic Council would blame him for this disaster, and they would be right. He had underestimated the humans completely. "Grant their requests," he said finally. "All ships are free to withdraw." But Captain Chun was not finished. Her voice filled the communication channels one last time. "Admiral Zethkar, you brought 50 ships to intimidate one human colony. You threatened to destroy our people if we did not bow to your demands. Did you really think we would simply surrender?" Zethkar activated his own transmitter. "What are you?" he asked. "What kind of species builds weapons like this?" Chun's answer was simple and terrible. "We are the species that survived 10,000 years of warfare on a single planet. We are the species that turned killing into an art form. We are humanity, Admiral. And you have just learned why the galaxy should fear us?" The surviving council. Ships began jumping to hyperspace, fleeing the system as fast as their damaged engines could carry them. They left behind the wreckage of 23 warships and the shattered remains of their pride. The Indomitable hung alone in space, surrounded by debris and escape pods. Captain Chane opened her ship to rescue survivors because that was what humans did. They fought fiercely when threatened, but they showed mercy to the defeated Dot as the last council ship disappeared into hyperspace. Chun activated her ship's long-range transmitters. The message she sent would reach every corner of the galaxy within days. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earthship Indomitable. The Galactic Council attacked human space with 50 warships. 23 of those ships have been destroyed or disabled. The survivors have been allowed to retreat. Let this be a lesson to any who think humanity can be bullied or intimidated. We did not seek this fight, but we finished it." The message would change everything. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted in a single battle. The Council's reputation for invincibility was broken forever, and somewhere in the depths of space, more human ships were already being built. Ships that would make the Indomitable look like a training vessel. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity went to war. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in the darkest hour of their 3,000-year reign. 12 species that had ruled the galaxy through fear and superior technology now faced a crisis that threatened their very existence. High Chancellor Mordith, an ancient being whose species had founded the Council, stood before the assembled representatives. His crystalline form glowed with barely contained anger as he read, "The battle reports from Kepler 442, 23 ships destroyed," he announced, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. 23 of our finest vessels, crewed by our best warriors, annihilated by a single human warship. This is not just a military defeat. This is a catastrophe that threatens everything we have built." The representatives shifted nervously in their seats. Some were already calculating how quickly they could withdraw their fleets to defend their home systems. Others wondered if it was time to consider peace negotiations with the humans. Admiral Zethkar stood in the center of the chamber, his uniform stripped of rank insignia. He was no longer an admiral. The council had demoted him to prisoner, awaiting trial for the greatest military disaster in their history. "You assured us the humans were primitive," accused Senator Victor of the Zenthari Collective. You told us their technology was centuries behind ours. How do you explain this defeat? Zethkar's voice was hoarse from hours of interrogation. The humans deceived us. Their ship used technologies we have never encountered, weapons that ignore our shields, engines that allow impossible maneuvers, cloaking systems that make them invisible to our best sensors. Excuses, snarled General Kratham of the Thurkari Empire. My ships fought bravely, but you failed to provide accurate intelligence about the enemy's capabilities. High Chancellor Mordeth raised a hand for silence. The blame can be assigned later. Right now, we face a more immediate problem. News of this defeat is spreading throughout the galaxy. Dozens of species are already questioning Council authority. Some are talking about leaving our protection entirely. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives from different species began arguing among themselves. The carefully maintained unity of the council was fracturing before their eyes. What do the humans want? Asked Ambassador Thalava of the Kovan Federation. Have they made any demands? Mordeth activated a holographic display showing Earth. They have sent only one message to the council. It is brief and to the point. Captain. Chion's image appeared in the center of the chamber. Even though it was just a recording, her presence seemed to command attention from every being present. To the Galactic Council, Chion's recorded voice began. You attacked human space without provocation. You threatened to destroy our colonies and blockade our homeworld. We defended ourselves as any free species would. This is your only warning. Stay out of human space. Any further aggression against humanity will be met with total war. The message ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. The humans were not asking for tribute or territory. They were not demanding submission from the council. They simply wanted to be left alone. Total war, whispered Senator Victor. Do they understand what that would mean? I think they understand. Perfectly, replied Ambassador Thalava grimly. The question is, do we? High Chancellor Mordeth studied the faces around him. Fear was replacing anger in their expressions. For the first time in millennia, the council faced an enemy they could not intimidate or overwhelm. We have two choices, he announced. We can accept this humiliation and withdraw from human space, allowing every species in the galaxy to see our weakness. Or we can gather our full might and crush these upstarts before they become a greater threat. Our full might? Asked General Kratham. What exactly do you propose? Mordeth's crystalline form pulsed with dark energy. The Grand Fleet, every ship from every member species, every weapon we possess. We throw everything at Earth before. They can build more vessels like the Indomitable. The suggestion sent shockwaves through the chamber. The Grand Fleet had never been assembled. It was a theoretical force, existing only in emergency protocols written when the Council was first formed. To activate it would require unanimous consent from all 12 species. That would mean total commitment, warned Senator Victor. We would be stripping defenses from every Council world. If we fail? If we fail, the Council falls anyway. Mordeth replied. At least this way we go down fighting. Admiral Zethkar, forgotten in his disgrace, spoke up from the center of the chamber. High Chancellor, I urge caution. The human ship demonstrated capabilities far beyond anything in our databases. Assembling the Grand Fleet takes months. What? If they use that time to build more vessels? Silence. Mordeth commanded. You have already proven your incompetence. Guards, remove the prisoner. As Zethkar was dragged away, he called out one final warning. You do not understand what you are facing. The humans are not like other species. They do not fight like U.S., but his words fell on deaf ears. The council representatives were already caught up in the fever of their decision. One by one, they voted to activate the Grand Fleet Protocol. Meanwhile, in the Kepler 442 system, Captain Chun was dealing with the aftermath of her victory. Rescue operations were underway for the thousands of alien survivors floating in escape pods throughout the system. The Indomitable's medical bay was crowded with wounded council troops receiving treatment from human doctors. "Captain," reported Commander Torres, "we have completed rescue operations. Total survivors, 4,700 council personnel from 23 destroyed vessels." Chun nodded. "Any word from Earth?" "Admiral Kim sends his congratulations and new orders. We are to return home immediately. The President wants to debrief you personally." But Chun was studying the long-range sensor displays. "Commander, are you detecting increased hyperspace activity along the council border?" Torres checked his instruments. "Yes, ma'am. Massive fleet movements from at least 8 different species. It looks like they are consolidating forces." Chun frowned. She had hoped her demonstration of force would convince the council to leave humanity alone. Instead, it seemed to have triggered exactly the opposite response. "They are going to try again," she said quietly. "And this time, they will bring everything they have." Torres looked worried. "One ship against their entire military?" "Captain, even the Indomitable has limits." "Yes," Chun agreed. But the Indomitable was never meant to fight their entire fleet alone. 3 weeks later, the Grand Fleet began assembling at the edge of Council space. It was a sight that would have terrified any enemy in galactic history. Over 1,500 warships from 12 different species, representing the combined might of the galaxy's dominant powers. The fleet was commanded by Fleet Admiral Sekthar, the most experienced military leader in Council history. Unlike Zethkar, he had studied every piece of available data about the human vessel. He understood that this would not be a simple battle of overwhelming force. "All fleet commanders, report status," he ordered from the bridge of his flagship, the massive hegemony dreadnought Eternal Victory. The responses came in from across the fleet. Vorthek battleships with their devastating energy weapons. Zinthari, bioships that could repair themselves during combat. Thrakari dreadnoughts armed with planet-killer missiles. Kovran stealth frigates designed for reconnaissance and harassment. "All ships report ready for departure," announced his tactical officer. "Hyperspace jump-to-Earth system calculated and ready to execute." Sekthar studied the tactical displays. "One more time, 1,500 ships against 1. Those odds should guarantee victory against any enemy." But the reports from Kepler 442 haunted him. The humans had technologies the Council did not understand. "Execute jump," he commanded. The Grand Fleet disappeared into hyperspace, carrying with it the hopes and fears of an entire galactic civilization. They would arrive at Earth in 6 hours. On Earth, President Williams stood in the Global Defense Center, watching the approaching fleet on the main display. The Council ships were still in hyperspace, but their destination was obvious. "How many ships?" she asked General Harrison. "Current count is 1,537 vessels," he replied. "Everything the Council has available for immediate deployment, and our forces?" "The Indomitable is returning from Kepler 442. Captain Chun should arrive in 4 hours." President Williams looked around the war room at her military advisors. 1 ship against 1,500. "Even for humanity, those are not good odds," General Harrison smiled grimly. "Ma'am, the Indomitable was our prototype. It was never intended to fight their entire fleet. Then what was it intended for? To buy us time to finish the others?" Williams raised an eyebrow. "Others?" "The Defiant class program has been in production for 3 years. We now have 7 ships of the Indomitable's class ready for combat. 12 more will be completed within the month." The President felt a surge of hope. 7 ships, that still seems ... "Ma'am," interrupted Admiral Kim, "the Indomitable was built using technology we developed 5 years ago. The newer ships incorporate everything we learned from the prototype, plus advances we have made since then. They are not just equal to the Indomitable, they are superior." President Williams looked at the tactical display showing the approaching alien fleet. 1,500 ships, carrying weapons that could sterilize planets and crews trained for centuries in warfare. "Admiral," she said quietly, "signal the fleet. All ships are to take position at the edge of the solar system. When the Council arrives, we will be ready for them." In hyperspace, Fleet Admiral Sekthar received his final intelligence briefing. Council spies throughout the galaxy had been gathering information about human military preparations. "Sir," reported his intelligence officer, "our agents confirm that the humans have only one ship of the Indomitable class in their fleet. Long-range sensors detect no other vessels with similar energy signatures." Sekthar nodded. "And their defensive positions?" "Minimal. A few orbital platforms around Earth and Mars, some patrol craft in the outer system. Nothing that could threaten the Grand Fleet." The Fleet Admiral allowed himself a moment of confidence. Perhaps Zethkar had simply been incompetent. Perhaps. The human victory at Kepler 442 had been nothing more than luck and surprise. Against 1,500 ships in open battle, no single vessel could prevail. "Prepare to drop out of hyperspace," he ordered. "All ships to battle stations. Today we end the human threat forever." But as the Grand Fleet prepared to emerge at Earth, they had no idea what was waiting for them. The humans had learned from Kepler 442 as well, and unlike the Council, they had spent the past 3 weeks preparing for total war. The stage was set for the largest space battle in galactic history. On one side, the combined might of 12 alien empires. On the other, a species that had been fighting wars since before they discovered fire. The outcome would determine the future of the galaxy. The Grand Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a wall of metal and death. 1,500 ships stretched across millions of kilometers of space, their hulls gleaming under the distant sun's light. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Fleet Admiral Sekthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical displays with satisfaction. His sensors showed the human homeworld floating peacefully in the void, protected only by a handful of orbital stations and patrol craft. "Contact Earth," he ordered. "Demand their immediate surrender." A communication channel opened, and President Williams appeared on the main screen. She sat calmly in what appeared to be a simple office, showing no fear despite the massive fleet threatening her world. "Fleet Admiral Sekthar," she said politely, "I assume you have come to discuss the surrender of your forces?" The alien bridge crew fell silent in shock. A few began to laugh nervously. The human leader was either completely insane or possessed of incredible courage. "You misunderstand the situation," Sekthar replied coldly. "You face 1,500 warships. Your single vessel cannot protect you now. Surrender, and your people will be allowed to live as servants to the Council." President Williams smiled slightly. "Admiral, I think you are the one who misunderstands. You see, the Indomitable was never our only ship. It was our first ship." Before Sekthar could respond, his sensors began detecting new contacts throughout the solar system. Ships decloaked around Jupiter, emerging from the gas giant's massive radiation field. More appeared near Saturn, hidden among the planet's rings. Others materialized from behind asteroids and moons. "Contact!" shouted his tactical officer. "Multiple human vessels decloaking throughout the system. Count is ... 7 ships, Admiral. All similar configuration to the Indomitable." Sekthar's confidence wavered slightly. 7 ships were still vastly outnumbered by his fleet. But the memory of what one human vessel had done to the Apex Squadron made him cautious. "All ships, maintain formation," he ordered. 7 ships cannot stand against 1,500, no matter how advanced their technology. But Captain Chian's voice cut through the communication channels, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Admiral Sekthar, this is Captain Sarachan of the UES Indomitable. You have brought your entire fleet to human space. That was a mistake." The Indomitable appeared first, dropping its cloak directly in front of the alien formation. But this ship looked different from the vessel that had fought at Kepler 442. Its hull was sleeker, its weapons more numerous. Upgrades and improvements were visible across its entire structure. "Indomitable Mark II," Chun announced calmly. 3 weeks was plenty of time for upgrades. The other human ships began revealing themselves. The UES Defiant emerged near Mars, its angular hull bristling with railguns and missile tubes. The UES Relentless appeared behind the alien fleet, cutting off their retreat. One by one, 7 human warships took positions around the Grand Fleet. Each ship was unique, incorporating different experimental technologies. The UES Vengeance carried prototype plasma weapons that burned hotter than stars. The UES Fury mounted kinetic cannons that could fire projectiles at 30% of light speed. The UES Retribution carried the first operational antimatter torpedoes ever built. 7 ships, Sekthar repeated, trying to convince himself. We still outnumber them 200 to 1. Admiral, his intelligence officer called out urgently. I am detecting massive energy signatures from all human vessels. Their power output is... This cannot be correct. What are the readings? Each ship is generating power equivalent to a small star, sir. Their fusion reactors appear to be operating at impossible efficiency levels. Sekthar felt the first stirrings of real fear. The humans had not just built more ships. They had improved on their original design. These vessels represented technology years ahead of anything the Council possessed. All ships, attack formation, he ordered. Concentrate fire on the nearest human vessel. Overwhelming firepower will ... His order was cut short as the human ships opened fire. The battle that followed would be remembered as the day the galaxy changed forever. 7 human warships faced down 1,500 alien vessels and turned the engagement into a massacre. The UES Defiant struck first, its experimental railguns sending tungsten projectiles through an entire line of Vorthak battleships. The rounds punched through multiple hulls, destroying 5 ships with a single volley. The aliens' energy shields, designed to stop plasma and particle weapons, provided no protection against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The UES Vengeance unleashed its plasma weapons on a formation of Xanthari bioships, the superheated. Matter burned through their living hulls like acid through paper. The organic vessels tried to regenerate, but the plasma temperatures were too intense. They simply melted away into glowing particles. The UES Fury demonstrated the true meaning of kinetic warfare. Its cannons fired continuously, sending streams of projectiles into the alien formations. Each round carried the energy of a nuclear weapon, delivered with surgical precision. Entire squadrons of Council ships vanished in chains of explosions, but it was the UES Retribution that showed the galaxy's future. Its antimatter torpedoes created explosions that briefly outshone the sun. When matter and antimatter collided, the resulting energy release was beyond anything the aliens had ever witnessed. Ships simply ceased to exist, converted into pure energy and radiation. Admiral Sekthar watched in horror as his magnificent fleet was torn apart. All ships' evasive maneuvers used the asteroids for cover, but there was nowhere to hide. The human ships moved through space like predators hunting prey. Their artificial intelligence systems coordinated attacks with inhuman precision. When one human vessel engaged a target, the others would position themselves to cut off escape routes. Admiral, his tactical officer screamed over the noise of explosions. We have lost over 300 ships in the first 10 minutes. Our formation is completely broken. The Grand Fleet, which had arrived in perfect order, was now scattered across the solar system. Panic spread through the alien crews as they realized their weapons could not touch the human vessels. Energy beams and plasma bolts struck empty space as the human ships danced between their shots. Captain, Chun's voice filled the communication channels again. Admiral Sekthar, you wanted to end the human threat. How is that working out for you? The Indomitable appeared directly above Sekthar's flagship, its weapons trained on the bridge. But instead of firing, Chun opened a private channel. Admiral, your fleet is dying. Your crews are dying. End this before I have to destroy every ship you brought here. Sekthar looked at his tactical displays. Half his fleet was gone. The survivors were fleeing in all directions, trying desperately to reach the edge of the system where they could jump to hyperspace. But the human ships were hunting them down one by one. What do you want? He asked finally. I want you to take a message back to the Council, Chun replied. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity did not start this war, but we We'll finish it if we have to, and if we refuse? If we fight to the last ship? Chun's response was cold and simple. Then there will be no one left to deliver the message. The truth of her words hit Sekthar like a physical blow. The humans were not just winning this battle. They were toying with his fleet, playing with them. If they wanted to destroy every council ship, they clearly had the power to do so. All ships, he broadcast on the fleet frequency, cease fire. Begin immediate withdrawal to hyperspace jump points. The order sparked angry responses from many of his captains. Some refused to retreat, choosing to fight to the death rather than face the shame of defeat. The human ships allowed these brave fools to die with honor, destroying them quickly and cleanly, but most of the surviving alien vessels followed their admiral's orders. They fled toward the edge of the solar system, their crews broken and demoralized. Behind them, wreckage drifted in the void. The remains of over 800 warships, representing the pride of 12 different empires, as the last council ship jumped to hyperspace. Captain Chun gathered her small fleet near Earth. 7 ships had faced 1,501 decisively. The message was unmistakable. Humanity was not just another species to be bullied. They were a force that could challenge the galaxy's established order. President Williams addressed the world that evening. Her speech was broadcast across Earth and transmitted to every human colony in space. Today, the Galactic Council brought their entire military might against us, she said. They came to destroy our freedom and enslave our people. They learned that humanity will never bow to tyrants, no matter how powerful they claim to be. We did not seek this conflict, but we ended it. Let this be a lesson to any who would threaten human space. We are not afraid of you. We are not impressed by your numbers or your threats. We are humanity and we will defend ourselves. The news of Earth's victory spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. Within days, every species knew what had happened. The mighty Galactic Council, rulers of the galaxy for 3 millennia, had been humbled by a race that had barely learned to travel between stars. On dozens of worlds, oppressed peoples began to whisper about rebellion. If the humans could defeat the Council, perhaps freedom was possible for others as well. The galaxy's political order, stable for thousands of years, began to crack. In the Council chambers, the surviving representatives met in emergency session. Fleet Admiral Sekthar stood before them, no longer the confident commander who had led the Grand Fleet to Earth. We underestimated them completely, he reported. Their technology is not just advanced, it is revolutionary. They fight with weapons we do not understand, using tactics we cannot predict. High Chancellor Mordith's crystalline form flickered with dark energy. What are your recommendations, Admiral? Sekthar's answer was simple and terrible. We negotiate. The humans have proven they can destroy us whenever they choose. Our only option is to seek peace. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some representatives called for continued war. Others demanded Sekthar's execution for cowardice. But underneath the anger was a growing fear. For the first time in their history, the Galactic Council faced an enemy they could not defeat. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbital shipyards, construction continued around the clock. The 7 ships that had defeated the Grand Fleet were just the beginning. Hundreds more were being built, each one incorporating the latest advances in human military technology. Captain Chun stood on the observation deck of Luna Base, watching the construction with satisfaction. The galaxy had wanted to see what humanity was capable of. Now they knew. Her communication device chimed with an incoming message from Earth's military command. New orders. The Council was already rebuilding their fleets, and intelligence suggested they were seeking allies among other galactic powers. Chun smiled grimly. Let them come. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they could not be intimidated or defeated. If the Council wanted a real war, they would get one, but they would not win it. They would never win it. The age of human dominance in the galaxy had begun. The first alien ship appeared over Earth on a Tuesday morning in March 2387. It was massive, bigger than any city Sarah Chun had ever seen. The ship looked like a crystal mountain floating in space, with thousands of lights dancing across its surface. Sarah stood on the observation deck of the Luna station, watching through the reinforced glass as more ships arrived. They came from every direction, filling Earth's sky with strange shapes and colors. Sarah was 53 years old and had spent most of her life in space. She commanded the Earth Defense Fleet, though everyone knew the name was more hope than reality. Humanity had only been traveling between stars for 300 years. Their fastest ships could barely reach half the speed of light. Their weapons were simple nuclear missiles and laser cannons. Now, looking at the alien fleet above Earth, Sarah realized how small and weak humans really were. The aliens had been watching humanity for decades. Earth's radio signals had reached their worlds long ago. They knew about human wars, human violence, and human expansion into space. What they saw worried them greatly. In all their thousands of years of space travel, they had never met a species quite like humans. The leader of the alien fleet was named Zixtara. She belonged to a species called the Zephyrians. Her body was made of living crystal that changed colors as she spoke. She stood 12 feet tall and had no face as humans understood it, just patterns of light that moved across her crystal head. When she spoke, her voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Admiral Chun," Zixtara said through the translation device, "we represent the Galactic Confederation. We have come to offer your species membership in our great alliance." Sarah tried to hide her excitement. First contact with alien life was the dream of every human. Scientists had wondered for centuries if Earth was alone in the universe. Now, she knew the answer. Not only was humanity not alone, but there was an entire confederation of alien species spanning the galaxy. "We are honored by your offer," Sarah replied carefully. "What does membership require?" The crystal alien's lights flickered in what might have been amusement. "First, you must understand what you are joining. The Galactic Confederation includes 847 different species. We have maintained peace for over 50,000 years. This peace exists because we all follow the same rules." Zixtara gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the air between them. It showed a map of the galaxy with millions of colored dots representing different worlds and species. Sarah could see that most of the galaxy was already claimed and divided among the various alien races. Each species is given specific territories and resources, the alien continued. Technology is shared and controlled to prevent any one race from becoming too powerful. Military forces are limited and regulated. Most importantly, expansion and colonization follow strict guidelines approved by the Confederation Council. Sarah felt her heart sink. She was beginning to understand what this really meant. You want to control human development. We want to guide it, corrected another alien who had remained silent until now. This one looked completely different from Zixtara. It was more like a giant insect with multiple arms and a head that twitched constantly. Its skin was dark green and covered in what looked like armor plates. "I am Krathnex of the Krell Collective. My species learned long ago that unlimited growth leads to war and destruction." The Krell alien moved closer to Sarah, its multiple eyes focusing on her. "Humans are unique, Admiral Chun. Most species develop space travel after they have learned to live in peace with themselves. Humans achieved faster than light travel while still fighting wars on their home planet. Most species evolve from prey animals that learned cooperation to survive. Humans evolved from predators that learned to hunt in packs." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She was beginning to understand why the aliens had come. They were not here to welcome humanity into the galactic community. They were here to put a leash on a dangerous animal. "What exactly are you proposing?" Sarah asked. Zixtara's crystal body pulsed with soft blue light. "Humanity will be allowed to keep Earth and your current 12 colony worlds. You will be given access to certain approved technologies that will improve your quality of life. In return, you will accept Confederation oversight of your military, your expansion, and your research. And if we refuse?" Sarah asked, though. She already knew the answer. The insect alien Krathnex clicked his mandibles together in what sounded like laughter. Look around you, Admiral. Our fleet contains more firepower than your entire species has ever produced. We have weapons that could turn your sun into a supernova or freeze your ocean solid, but we do not wish to use them. We prefer peace. Sarah looked out at the alien ships surrounding Earth. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Each one was larger and more advanced than anything humanity had built. Even if every human ship attacked at once, they would be destroyed in minutes. However, Zixtara continued, her voice becoming colder, the Confederation has learned from experience. 3 times in our history, we have allowed dangerous species to develop without proper guidance. Each time it led to terrible wars that cost millions of lives. We will not make that mistake again. The crystal alien moved to the window and looked down at Earth. Your planet is beautiful, Admiral Chun. Your species has great potential. But you are also the most violent and unpredictable race we have ever encountered. In just 300 years of space travel, you have fought 17 wars among yourselves. You have used nuclear weapons against your own kind. You have poisoned your own atmosphere and stripped entire worlds of resources. Sarah wanted to argue, but she knew the alien was right. Humanity's expansion into space had been marked by conflict and competition. The Mars Colony War, the asteroid belt mining conflicts, the corporate wars around Jupiter's moons. Humans seemed unable to explore the galaxy without fighting each other for control. But we have also achieved incredible things, Sarah said. We have cured diseases, explored dangerous worlds, and built cities among the stars. We have art, music, and literature that celebrates the beauty of existence. Yes, agreed Krathnex. This is why we offer you membership instead of elimination. Your species has value. But that value must be carefully managed. The aliens presented Sarah with a thick document called the Sapient Species Accords. It was hundreds of pages long and written in complex legal language that took her hours to understand. The basic terms were simple but devastating to human freedom. Humanity would be restricted to their current solar system plus 12 designated colony worlds. They could not establish new colonies without Confederation approval. Their military would be limited to police forces and system defense units. No new weapons research would be allowed without alien oversight. Human ships could not travel beyond their assigned territories without special permits. Most importantly, human technology development would be strictly controlled. The aliens would provide certain approved advances in medicine, energy, and agriculture. But humans would be forbidden from researching faster-than-light communication, advanced artificial intelligence, or quantum weapons. These restrictions will remain in place for at least 500 years, Zixtara explained. After that time, if humanity has proven itself peaceful and responsible, some limitations may be lifted. Sarah read through the document again, her anger growing with each page. The aliens were offering humanity a comfortable cage. They would be fed and protected but never allowed to grow beyond what their keepers deemed safe. What about human rights? Sarah asked. What about our freedom to explore and expand? Freedom is a luxury that must be earned, replied Krathnex. Your species will have freedom within the boundaries we set. You will be free to live, to learn, and to grow. But you will not be free to threaten the peace of the galaxy. Sarah realized she had no choice. The alien fleet could destroy human civilization in a matter of hours. Earth's leaders had sent her to negotiate, but there was nothing to negotiate. This was surrender disguised as diplomacy. I need time to consult with my government, Sarah said. Of course, Zixtara replied. You have 72 hours to provide an answer. After that, we will assume humanity has chosen conflict over cooperation. The aliens left Sarah alone with the document and her thoughts. She spent the next 3 days in constant communication with Earth's leaders, the colonial governors, and the military command. Everyone reached the same conclusion. Humanity was not ready for a war against the Galactic Confederation. They had to accept the terms, no matter how unfair they seemed. On the 3rd day, Sarah met with the aliens again. This time, representatives from dozens of different species were present. She saw creatures that looked like walking trees, others that resembled flying jellyfish, and some that were just clouds of glowing gas. All of them watched as she signed the Sapient Species Accords. "Welcome to the Galactic Confederation," Zixtara said as Sarah put down the electronic pen. "Your species is now under our protection and guidance." Sarah looked at the signed document and felt like she had just sold humanity's future. But she also knew it was the only way to ensure that humanity had a future at all. As the alien ships began to leave Earth's orbit, Sarah noticed that several remained behind. These would be the monitoring stations, she realized. The Confederation would be watching humanity's every move, making sure they followed the rules of their new prison. Standing on the observation deck of Luna Station, Sarah watched the last of the alien fleet disappear into space. Around her, Earth looked peaceful and beautiful in the darkness. But she knew that humanity had just lost something precious. They had lost their freedom to choose their own destiny. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but humans would only be allowed to see the small corner that their alien masters deemed safe. Sarah wondered if this was how every species in the Confederation had started. Had they all been free once? Had they all been forced to give up their dreams of unlimited exploration and growth? She thought about her own children and grandchildren. They would grow up in a world where aliens decided what humans could and could not do. They would never know the feeling of pushing beyond boundaries and discovering something new. They would be safe, but they would also be slaves. Sarah made a silent promise as she watched Earth turn slowly in space. Someday, somehow, humanity would be free again. The aliens thought they had tamed the human spirit, but they had only hidden it. Like a fire covered with ash, it would continue to burn. And when the time was right, it would burst into flames again. The Galactic Confederation had made one crucial mistake. They assumed that because they could control human actions, they could also control human thoughts and dreams. But dreams, Sarah knew, were the one thing that could never be caged. And human dreams had always been bigger than any prison. 50 years had passed since Admiral Sarah Chun signed the Sapient Species Accords. Sarah was long dead now, buried on Luna Station with full military honors. Her daughter Lisa had followed in her footsteps, climbing through the ranks of what was now called the Human Defense Corps. The word Earth had been removed from the name at the suggestion of the Galactic Peacekeepers. They said it sounded too aggressive. Lisa Chun was now 45 years old and commanded the monitoring station above New Gettysburg, one of humanity's 12 allowed colony worlds. She had grown up under alien rule, but unlike many of her generation, she remembered her mother's stories about the time before the Confederation. Sarah had told her daughter about the dreams humans once had, about exploring the galaxy and building something great among the stars. New Gettysburg was a mining world, named after an ancient Earth battle where brave soldiers had died fighting for freedom. The irony was not lost on Lisa. The planet was rich in rare minerals that were essential for building, faster than light engines and quantum computers. Under the Accords, humans were allowed to mine these materials, but only in amounts approved by the Confederation Council. The mining operation was run by Director Marcus Webb, a tough man in his 60s who had worked the asteroid mines before the aliens came. He had thick hands covered in scars and a voice roughened by years of breathing recycled air in spacesuits. Marcus hated the aliens with a passion that burned bright after 5 decades of restrictions. "Commander Chun," Marcus said as he entered Lisa's office in the orbital station, "we have a problem." Lisa looked up from her reports. Every month she had to file detailed accounts of mining output, population growth, and resource consumption. The aliens wanted to know everything about human activities. "What kind of problem, Marcus?" "The kind that's going to make our alien friends very unhappy," Marcus replied with a grim smile. "My team's found something big, really big." Marcus activated the holographic display on Lisa's desk. It showed a 3-dimensional map of New Gettysburg's underground mineral deposits. Deep beneath the planet's surface, a massive vein of rare Earth elements stretched for hundreds of kilometers. "Sweet mercy," Lisa whispered. "How much are we talking about?" Enough to supply the entire human fleet for the next 1,000 years. Marcus said. Enough to build quantum computers that could outthink anything the aliens have. Enough to power weapons that could punch holes through their crystal ships. Lisa stared at the display. This was exactly what humanity needed to break. Free from alien control? But she also knew what would happen when the peacekeepers found out about it. And they would find out. The aliens monitored everything. Have you told anyone else about this? Lisa asked. Just my senior mining supervisors, Marcus replied. I want to talk to you first. We both know what the aliens will do when they hear about this. Lisa knew he was right. The galactic peacekeepers would declare the deposit excessive for human developmental needs and take control of it. They had done it before on other worlds. Whenever humans found something valuable, the aliens found reasons to confiscate it. The peacekeepers were the enforcement arm of the Galactic Confederation. They wore sleek silver armor and carried weapons that could disintegrate matter at the molecular level. Their ships were fast and deadly, designed to respond quickly to any threat to galactic peace. Most peacekeepers were Vorthok, a species that looked like tall, thin humanoids with gray skin and no hair. They had cold, calculating minds and showed no emotion when carrying out their duties. We have to report it, Lisa said finally. If we don't and they find out later, things will be much worse for everyone on this planet. Marcus slammed his fist on the desk. Damn it, Lisa. How long are we going to keep bending over for these bastards? That mineral deposit could change everything for humanity. It could give us the power to stand up and fight back. And get everyone killed in the process, Lisa replied. You've seen what their weapons can do. Remember what happened on Ceres Station when the miners tried to resist? Marcus's face darkened. Everyone in human space knew about Ceres Station. The asteroid miners had refused to hand over a shipment of processed uranium that the peacekeepers wanted for their own use. The alien response had been swift and brutal. They had used some kind of energy weapon that turned the entire station into dust in seconds. 3,000 humans had died instantly. That was different, Marcus argued. There were just a few thousand miners on an isolated station. New Gettysburg has 2 million people. The aliens wouldn't dare ... wouldn't they? Lisa interrupted. The Confederation has been very clear about their priorities. Galactic peace comes before individual species. If they think we're becoming a threat, they'll do whatever it takes to stop us. Despite her words, Lisa felt the same anger and frustration that Marcus did. She had spent her entire adult life watching aliens control every aspect of human existence. They decided where humans could live, what they could build, and how they could grow. Every human innovation had to be approved by alien scientists who treated them like children playing with dangerous toys. The next morning, Lisa filed her report about the mineral discovery. Within hours, a peacekeeper fleet appeared in orbit around New Gettysburg. The flagship was a massive ship called the Eternal Vigilance, commanded by Peacekeeper Prime Zethkal. Zethkal was a typical Vorthak, 7 feet tall with skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed with pale blue light. He had been overseeing human space for 20 years and had a reputation for strict enforcement of Confederation law. When he spoke, his voice was flat and emotionless, like a computer reading a technical manual. Commander Chun, Zethkal said, as his holographic image appeared in Lisa's office. You have reported the discovery of significant mineral deposits on New Gettysburg. The Confederation Council has reviewed your findings and determined that these resources exceed human requirements. Lisa felt her heart sink, but she tried to keep her voice steady. With respect, Prime Zethkal, these minerals are essential for our technological development. The Accords guarantee humanity the right to use resources found in our assigned territories. The Accords also state that resource extraction must serve legitimate developmental needs, the alien replied coldly. The amount of rare earth elements you have discovered is far beyond what your species requires for peaceful purposes. Such quantities could only be used for military applications. Our mining equipment is old and inefficient, Lisa argued. We Need these materials to upgrade our technology and improve life for our colonists. Zethkal's glowing eyes fixed on her. Commander Chen, do not insult my intelligence. I have studied human psychology and behavior for decades. I know exactly what your species would do with such resources. You would build weapons, military ships, and quantum computers designed for warfare. Lisa wanted to scream at the aliens. Arrogance, but she forced herself to remain calm. The Confederation has always said that humans could develop as long as we remain peaceful. How can we prove our peaceful intentions if you won't allow us to advance? You can prove your peaceful intentions by accepting our decision without resistance, Zethkal replied. The mineral deposits will be extracted under Confederation supervision. The resources will be distributed among various member species according to galactic need. And what about the needs of New Gettysburg's colonists? Lisa asked. These people have worked for decades to build their homes here. This discovery could have improved their lives immeasurably. Their lives will continue as before, the alien said dismissively. The Confederation will ensure that they receive adequate resources for their basic needs. They require nothing more. Lisa realized that arguing was pointless. The aliens had already made their decision. They would take the minerals and leave humanity with just enough to survive, but never enough to grow strong. Over the next several weeks, peacekeeper ships landed on New Gettysburg's surface. Alien mining equipment was brought down from orbit. Machines that could extract minerals 100 times faster than human technology. The aliens worked quickly and efficiently, stripping the valuable deposits from the planet's crust, the human. Miners were forced to watch as their discovery was stolen from them. Some tried to protest, but peacekeeper guards quickly silenced any resistance. Marcus Webb led a group of miners in a peaceful demonstration outside the main mining facility. The peacekeepers dispersed the crowd with sonic weapons that left the humans writhing on the ground in agony. This is what galactic peace looks like, Marcus said to Lisa as she helped him to his feet after the sonic attack. His ears were bleeding and his hands shook from the aftereffects of the weapon. We're not members of the Confederation. We're prisoners. Lisa helped Marcus to the medical station where human doctors treated the injured miners with primitive equipment. The aliens had medical technology that could heal the sonic weapon damage in minutes, but they did not share it with humans. Such advanced medicine was deemed unnecessary for human development. As the weeks passed, Lisa watched the alien mining operation with growing anger. They were not just taking the rare earth elements. They were also extracting other valuable minerals that the original survey had missed. The aliens were strip mining the planet, taking everything of value and leaving behind empty holes in the ground. The worst part was the efficiency of it all. The aliens treated the theft as a routine administrative task. They filed reports, followed procedures, and maintained detailed records of everything they stole. To them, this was not theft at all. It was resource management for the greater good of the galaxy. Commander Chun, one of her junior officers said as he entered her office, I've been monitoring alien communications. They're planning to establish a permanent mining base on New Gettysburg. Lisa looked up sharply. A permanent base? For how long? Indefinitely, the officer replied. They found additional deposits deeper underground. They want to make sure humans never get access to them. Lisa stared out the window at the alien ships in orbit. More were arriving every day, bringing fresh equipment and additional personnel. The peacekeepers were not just taking the minerals, they were taking the planet itself. That night, Lisa called an emergency meeting with the senior staff of New Gettysburg. Mining supervisors, colonial administrators, and military officers gathered in the conference room of the orbital station. Everyone looked tired and angry. We all know why we're here, Lisa began. The aliens are stealing our world piece by piece. They're not going to stop with the minerals. They'll find excuses to take everything else too. Director Webb spoke up from across the table. What can we do about it? We've tried peaceful protests, legal challenges, and diplomatic appeals. Nothing works. They just ignore us or threaten us with force. Maybe it's time to stop playing by their rules, suggested Colonel Harrison, the senior military officer, on New Gettysburg. He was a veteran of the corporate wars and had fought in the asteroid belt before the aliens came. We have people, we have some weapons, and we know this planet better than they do. You're talking about armed resistance, Lisa said. That would be suicide. They could call in the entire peacekeeper fleet and turn this planet into a crater. So we just sit here and let them take everything? Webb asked bitterly. Let them turn us into slaves in our own homes. Lisa looked around the table at the faces of the other humans. She saw anger, frustration, and desperation. These were good people who had worked hard to build something on New Gettysburg. They deserved better than this. There might be another way, Lisa said slowly. Something my mother told me before she died. She said there were others in human space who were working on long-term plans. People who never accepted the Accords, who've been preparing for the day when we could fight. Beck, what kind of plans? Colonel Harrison asked. I don't know the details, Lisa admitted. But she said there were secret research facilities, hidden bases, and people who've been developing technologies the aliens don't know about. She said that someday, when humanity was ready, we would have our chance. The room fell silent as everyone considered her words. The idea of secret human resistance was both exciting and terrifying. If such plans existed, they represented hope for human freedom. But if the aliens discovered them, the consequences would be catastrophic. How do we contact these people? Webb asked. I'm not sure we can, Lisa replied. But I think they'll contact us when the time is right. Until then, we have to endure, we have to survive. And we have to remember that this isn't forever. As the meeting ended and the staff returned to their duties, Lisa remained in the conference room alone. She looked out at the alien ships surrounding New Gettysburg and made a silent promise. Someday, humanity would be strong enough to take back what was theirs. Someday, the galaxy would learn that humans were not meant to be caged. But for now, they had to wait. They had to watch as the aliens stripped their world bare and took everything they had worked for. They had to smile and cooperate while burning, with rage inside. They had to be patient while their dreams were slowly strangled. The Galactic Confederation thought they had broken the human spirit. They thought they had turned humanity into just another obedient member species, but they were wrong. Human anger was like a slow-burning fire, getting hotter and more dangerous. With each passing year, the aliens would learn eventually that there was a difference between compliance and surrender. And when that day came, they would discover just how dangerous a caged human could be. The emergency call came to Lisa Chun at 3 in the morning, ship time. She was pulled from deep sleep by the urgent beeping of her communication device. The voice on the other end belonged to Captain Rodriguez, commander of the supply ship Aurora's Dawn, which had just arrived from Eden Prime. Commander Chun, you need to hear this immediately, Rodriguez said, his voice shaking. Eden Prime is gone. The whole colony is dying. Lisa sat up in her bed, instantly awake. Eden Prime was one of humanity's most successful agricultural worlds, home to nearly 500,000 people. The planet's fertile soil and perfect climate had made it the breadbasket of human space. Eden Prime fed not just its own people, but also supplied food to 6 other human colonies. What do you mean, gone? Lisa asked as she pulled on her uniform. The Krell came 3 weeks ago, Rodriguez continued. They demanded that Eden Prime hand over 80% of its grain harvest to feed some famine on their world of Nixstar. When the colonists refused, the Krell released something into the atmosphere. Some kind of biological weapon that sterilizes the soil. Lisa felt her blood turn cold. The Krell were one of the founding members of the Galactic Confederation, an insect-like species that thought with a collective mind. They had always been strict about following Confederation law, but they had never used biological weapons against humans before. Are you sure about this? Lisa asked. I saw it with my own eyes, Rodriguez replied. The crops are all dead. Brownfields as far as you can see? The soil won't grow anything now, not even weeds. The colonists are starving, Commander. They've got maybe 6 weeks of food left in storage. Lisa closed her eyes and tried to process what she was hearing. Eden Prime had been humanity's most productive world. If the Krell had destroyed its ability to grow food, it would affect the entire human population. Other colonies depended on Eden Prime's surplus to feed their people. What was the official justification? Lisa asked, though she already suspected. The answer. The Krell said it was a legal requisition under Confederation Emergency Protocol 7, Rodriguez said bitterly. They claimed their world was experiencing a famine that threatened the survival of their species. Under the Accords, member species are required to provide assistance in such emergencies, even if it means letting our own people starve? Lisa asked. According to the Krell, Eden Prime was hoarding surplus food while a Confederation member species faced extinction, Rodriguez continued. When Governor Martinez refused to comply, they declared the colonists in violation of their membership obligations. Lisa knew Governor Elena Martinez personally. She was a tough woman in her 70s who had helped establish Eden Prime 40 years ago. Elena had fought through droughts, floods, and equipment failures to build the colony into a thriving agricultural center. She would never have refused aid to truly starving people. There's more, Commander, Rodriguez said quietly. I managed to speak with some of the colonists before I left. They said the Krell demand wasn't really about famine relief. The Krell world has plenty of food. They just wanted to test how far they could push human compliance. Lisa felt rage building in her chest. The aliens were not content with stealing human resources and limiting human growth. Now they were actively destroying human colonies to prove their power. How many people have died? Lisa asked. 12,000 so far. Rodriguez replied, mostly children and elderly. The colonists are trying to evacuate, but the peacekeepers have restricted their travel permits. They say the evacuation would violate population distribution agreements. Lisa wanted to scream. The aliens were not just destroying Eden Prime. They were trapping the colonists there to die slowly of starvation. It was genocide disguised as administrative policy. Get me everything you have about this, Lisa ordered. Documentation, witness statements, recorded communications, everything. Already prepared, Commander, Rodriguez said. But I have to warn you. The official Confederation report says the biological agent was deployed accidentally during routine agricultural assistance. They're claiming it was a tragic mistake. A mistake that just happened to occur after the colonists refused their demands, Lisa said sarcastically. The timing is listed as coincidental in the official record. Rodriguez confirmed that Lisa spent the next several hours reviewing the files that Rodriguez had brought from Eden Prime. The evidence was overwhelming. The Krell had deliberately deployed a biological weapon to punish human disobedience. They had murdered thousands of innocent people and condemned an entire world to death. But the official Confederation records told a different story. According to the alien bureaucrats, Eden Prime had experienced an unfortunate accident during a humanitarian aid mission. The Krell had been trying to help improve crop yields when a containment failure released an experimental growth inhibitor into the atmosphere. The Confederation Council expressed deep regret for the tragic incident. Lisa knew that protesting through official channels would be pointless. The aliens controlled all the courts, all the administrators, and all the judges. They had written the laws, and they interpreted them however they wanted. Human complaints were always dismissed as misunderstandings or emotional overreactions. That evening, Lisa called her senior staff together for an emergency meeting. She shared the news about Eden Prime and watched as their faces went through the same progression of shock, horror, and rage that she had experienced. "This is it," said Colonel Harrison, slamming his fist on the table. "This is where we draw the line. They've gone from theft to outright murder." "What can we do?" asked Dr. Sarah Kim, the chief medical officer. "If we protest too loudly, they'll just find excuses to punish us too." "Maybe that's exactly what we should do," suggested Marcus Webb, who had requested permission to attend the meeting. "Maybe. It's time to stop being afraid of their punishment." Lisa looked around the table at her people. These were good humans who had spent decades following alien rules and accepting alien authority. But she could see that something had changed in their eyes. The destruction of Eden Prime had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. "I need to tell you all something," Lisa said slowly. "Something my mother shared with me before she died. There are others in human space who have been preparing for this day." She told them about the secret resistance that Sarah Chun had mentioned. Hidden research facilities where human scientists had been developing forbidden technologies. Secret shipyards where new types of warships were being built. Underground networks of people who had never accepted alien rule. "How do we contact them?" Colonel Harrison asked. "We don't," Lisa replied. "They contact us. But first, we need to prove that we're ready to fight. What did you have in mind?" Webb asked. Lisa activated the holographic display on the conference table. It showed the current positions of peacekeeper ships around New Gettysburg. 3 cruisers and a dozen smaller patrol craft, all armed with weapons that could destroy human ships in seconds. "Tomorrow morning, I'm going to broadcast a message to every human world," Lisa said. "I'm going to tell them the truth about Eden Prime. I'm going to tell them that the aliens are not our protectors, they're our enemies." "That's treason under Confederation law," Dr. Kim pointed out. "They'll arrest you immediately." "Let them try," Lisa replied. "Someone has to speak the truth. Someone has to remind humanity what we used to be before the aliens put us in cages." The next morning, Lisa sat in her commander's office and activated the broadcast system. She knew that her words would be transmitted to every human colony, every orbital station, and every ship in human space. She also knew that the peacekeepers would try to stop the transmission within minutes. "People of humanity," Lisa began, looking directly into the camera. "My name is Commander Lisa Chun, daughter of Admiral Sarah Chun, who signed the Sapient Species Accords 50 years ago. I'm speaking to you now to tell you the truth about what happened on Eden Prime." Lisa described the Krell attack in detail. She explained how the aliens had murdered 12,000 innocent people to prove their power over humanity. She talked about the years of theft, oppression, and humiliation that humans had endured under Confederation rule. "The aliens tell us that we are members of their galactic community," Lisa continued. "But members are not murdered for refusing unreasonable demands. Members are not robbed of their discoveries and achievements. Members are not treated like dangerous animals that must be caged and controlled." The broadcast was reaching millions of humans across dozens of worlds. Lisa could imagine families gathering around their communication screens, listening to words that had been forbidden for 50 years. "We are not members of the Galactic Confederation," Lisa said firmly. "We are prisoners, we are slaves. And it is time for us to remember that humans were not meant to live in chains." 3 minutes into the broadcast, peacekeeper ships began moving toward the orbital station. Lisa could see them on her tactical display, closing in to stop her transmission. She had maybe 60 seconds before they would jam her signal. "The aliens think they have broken our spirit," Lisa continued urgently. "They think we have forgotten how to fight. They think we will accept any abuse as long as they let us live. But they are wrong. Human dignity is not something that can be traded away for safety. Human freedom is not something that can be sold for peace." The first peacekeeper ship reached the station and began electronic jamming procedures. Lisa's signal started to break up, but she kept talking. "Remember Eden Prime?" she said as the transmission began to fail. "Remember that 12,000 humans died because they refused to bow down to alien masters? Remember that we are human and humans do not surrender." The broadcast cut off as peacekeeper troops forced their way into the communication center. Lisa sat back in her chair and waited for them to come for her. She had said what needed to be said. Now others would have to decide what to do with her words. Within an hour, Peacekeeper Prime Zethkal arrived at the station personally. He stood in Lisa's office like a statue of gray stone, his glowing eyes fixed on her with cold anger. "Commander Chun," the alien said, "you have violated Section 12 of the Sapient Species Accords by broadcasting seditious material designed to incite rebellion against lawful Confederation authority." "I told the truth about Eden Prime," Lisa replied calmly. If the truth is seditious, then maybe your laws are wrong. The incident on Eden Prime was a tragic accident, Zethkal stated. Your deliberate misrepresentation of these events constitutes a serious crime against galactic peace. 12,000 people are dead, Lisa said, standing up to face the alien. Children, families, elderly people who never hurt anyone. Your people murdered them to make a point about human obedience. The Krell deployment of agricultural enhancement compounds was carried out according to proper safety protocols, the alien replied mechanically. The containment failure was unforeseen and deeply regretted by all parties. Lisa laughed bitterly. You really expect me to believe that lie? You expect humanity to just accept that our people died by accident? I expect humanity to accept the official findings of the Confederation Council, Zethkal said coldly. Anything else is conspiracy theory and dangerous speculation. And what happens to me now? Lisa asked. You will be transported to a Confederation detention facility for psychological evaluation and reconditioning, the alien replied. Your actions suggest that you have been contaminated by pre-contact human aggression patterns. With proper treatment, you can be rehabilitated. Lisa realized that the aliens were not just going to imprison her. They were going to try to break her mind, to turn her into another compliant human who accepted alien authority without question. You can do whatever you want to me, Lisa said defiantly, but you can't undo what I've already done. Millions of humans heard my broadcast. They know the truth about Eden Prime now. A temporary setback? Zethkal replied. The truth is what the Confederation Council determines it to be. Alternative narratives will be corrected through proper education and guidance. As peacekeeper guards escorted Lisa from her office, she looked out the window at New Gettysburg below. The planet's surface was scarred with alien mining operations, its resources being stripped away and sent to other worlds. Soon, she knew, there would be nothing left but empty holes in the ground. But Lisa also knew that her message had reached human colonies across the galaxy. People would be talking about Eden Prime, asking questions about Confederation justice, wondering if there might be another way to live. The seed of rebellion had been planted. As the peacekeeper transport ship carried her away from New Gettysburg, Lisa thought about her mother's words about secret human resistance. Somewhere out there, she hoped, people were preparing for the day when humanity would fight back. The aliens had made a critical mistake by destroying Eden Prime. They had given humanity something more powerful than weapons or ships. They had given humanity a reason to hate. The war was coming, Lisa realized. It might take years or decades, but it was inevitable now. The aliens had finally pushed too hard, taken too much, killed too many innocent people. Human patience had limits, and those limits had been reached. Eden Prime would not be forgotten. Its dead would not be ignored. And someday, very soon, the galaxy would learn what happened when you backed humans into a corner with nothing left to lose. The rescue came 3 days after Lisa Chun's arrest. She was being held in a peacekeeper detention facility on the asteroid station Omega-7, waiting for transport to a Confederation reconditioning center. The facility was supposed to be escape-proof, protected by energy shields and automated defense systems that could destroy any approaching ship. Lisa sat in her cell, a small gray room with no windows and a single dim light. She had expected to spend months or years in alien captivity, having her mind slowly reprogrammed until she became another obedient human puppet. But at 0347 hours station time, explosions began echoing through the facility's corridors. The first sign that something was wrong came when the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, bathing everything in red light. Then Lisa heard sounds she had not heard in 50 years. The distinctive whine of human plasma cannons and the crack of kinetic rifles. Her cell door suddenly melted away, dissolved by some kind of molecular acid. A figure in black combat armor stepped through the opening, carrying weapons that Lisa did not recognize. The armor was sleek and advanced, far beyond anything the Confederation had allowed humans to build. Commander Chun? The figure asked, lifting the helmet visor to reveal the face of a young woman with short brown hair and determined eyes. I'm Captain Sarah Voss, Human Liberation Fleet. We're here to get you out. Lisa stared at the woman in shock. Human Liberation Fleet? I've never heard of that organization. Most people haven't, Captain Voss replied as she helped Lisa to her feet. We've been operating in the shadows for the past 30 years, preparing for this day. Your broadcast 3 days ago was the signal we were waiting for. As they moved through the detention facility's corridors, Lisa saw the aftermath of a battle, unlike anything she had ever witnessed. Peacekeeper guards lay unconscious or dead, their advanced armor and weapons useless against the human attackers. The facility's automated defense systems had been completely disabled. How is this possible? Lisa asked as they ran. Human technology isn't advanced enough to penetrate peacekeeper defenses. It is now, Captain Voss replied with a grim smile. We've had 50 years to work on it. While the aliens thought they were keeping us under control, some of us were getting ready for war. They reached the facility's docking bay, where Lisa saw something that made her heart race with excitement. 3 human ships were docked there, but they looked nothing like the crude vessels she was familiar with. These ships were sleek and deadly, with armor that seemed to bend light around it and weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. Welcome to the HSF Retribution, Captain Voss said as they boarded the largest ship. Quantum drive, adaptive armor, and firepower that can punch through a peacekeeper cruiser like paper. The ship's bridge was a marvel of advanced technology. Holographic displays showed tactical information with incredible detail. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their equipment far superior to anything Lisa had seen before. These were not the restricted, monitored humans she was used to. These were warriors. Captain Voss, one of the crew members called out. Peacekeeper reinforcements incoming. 3 cruisers and a battleship. Let them come, Voss replied calmly. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do. Lisa watched in amazement as the human ships engaged the peacekeeper fleet. The alien vessels were larger and theoretically more powerful, but the human ships moved like predators hunting prey. They used tactics that the aliens had never seen before, appearing and disappearing like ghosts, striking from impossible angles. The first peacekeeper cruiser exploded within minutes, its shields overwhelmed by concentrated fire from weapons that seemed to ignore conventional defenses. The second cruiser tried to retreat, but human fighters swarmed around it like angry wasps, their pilots showing skills that decades of alien suppression had not managed to destroy. How long have you been building ships like this? Lisa asked. Captain Voss? The first prototype was completed 15 years ago, Voss replied as she watched the battle unfold. We built them in hidden facilities throughout human space. Asteroid mining stations that were really shipyards. Research laboratories disguised as agricultural centers. The aliens never suspected because they thought they had us completely under control. The peacekeeper battleship, seeing its escorts destroyed, tried to use its massive firepower to overwhelm the human ships. But the human vessels simply weren't there when the alien weapons fired. They moved with impossible speed and agility, their quantum drives allowing them to appear anywhere on the battlefield in seconds. The aliens always underestimated human adaptability, Voss continued. They thought that because they could control our official technology, they could control all our technology. They forgot that humans are very good at hiding things from their enemies. Lisa realized she was witnessing something historic. This was not just a rescue operation. This was the beginning of a war that would reshape the galaxy. For 50 years, humans had been forced to live as prisoners in their own space. Now they were fighting back with weapons and ships that the aliens had never imagined. Where did you get the resources for all this? Lisa asked. The aliens monitor every mining operation, every factory, every research facility. They monitor the official ones, Voss said with a slight smile. But humans have been miners and builders for thousands of years. We know how to dig tunnels, how to hide factories, how to make things disappear from inventory records. The aliens are very good at bureaucracy, but they're not very good at understanding human creativity. The last peacekeeper ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The human fleet had won a complete victory without losing a single vessel, Lisa could hardly believe what she had witnessed. The supposedly invincible peacekeepers had been destroyed by humans using technology they didn't even know existed. "This is just the beginning," Captain Voss said, as the human ships prepared to leave the battle zone. "Your broadcast about Eden Prime has reached every human colony. People are angry, and they're ready to fight. Resistance cells are activating across human space." As the Retribution jumped to faster-than-light speed, Lisa found herself in the ship's briefing room with Captain Voss and several other officers. They showed her holographic displays that revealed the true scope of the human resistance, hidden bases on dozens of worlds, secret shipyards in remote asteroid fields, research facilities buried deep underground where human scientists had been developing technologies that violated every restriction in the sapient species accords. For half a century, while most humans lived under alien rule, others had been preparing for rebellion. "We call it Project Prometheus," explained Commander Jake Morrison, a grizzled veteran who looked like he had been fighting aliens his entire life. "Named after the mythological figure who stole fire from the gods. We've been stealing technology, adapting it, improving it, and preparing for the day when we could use it. The aliens made one critical mistake," added Dr. Elena Vasquez, who appeared to be the fleet's chief scientist. "They thought that because they could limit our official research, they could limit our understanding. But human curiosity cannot be stopped by laws and regulations. We studied everything they brought to our worlds, we learned how their technology worked, and then we built better versions." Lisa looked at the displays showing human ship designs that were clearly superior to anything the Confederation used. "How many ships do you have currently operational?" "About 200, Commander Morrison replied. "In various stages of construction?" "Another 500. By the end of the year, we'll have a fleet of over 1,000 ships, all equipped with technology the aliens have never seen before." But that's not nearly enough to fight the entire Galactic Confederation," Lisa pointed out. "They have thousands of worlds and millions of ships." "Numbers aren't everything," Dr. Vasquez said. "The aliens have been at peace for 50,000 years. They've forgotten how to fight real wars. Their tactics are old, their strategies are predictable, and their technology has become stagnant because they've had no serious challenges. Humans, on the other hand, have been studying war for our entire existence," Captain Voss added. "We've spent 50 years analyzing alien weaknesses, learning their patterns and developing countermeasures for their weapons. When this war begins, we'll have advantages they can't even imagine." The briefing continued for hours as the human officers explained their plans. It was not just about building ships and weapons. They had spent decades infiltrating alien facilities, gathering intelligence, and establishing support networks throughout Confederation space. They knew which alien species were unhappy with Confederation rule and might be turned into allies. They knew where the aliens stored their resources and how their supply lines operated. "The key is not to fight a conventional war," Commander Morrison explained. "We can't win by building bigger fleets and having massive space battles. We have to fight like humans have always fought when facing superior enemies. We have to be smarter, faster, and more ruthless than they expect." "Guerrilla warfare on a galactic scale," Lisa realized. "Exactly," Captain Voss confirmed. "Hit their supply lines, destroy their communication networks, turn their own technology against them, make them afraid to leave their home systems. Show the galaxy that the Great Confederation can't even control one small human species." As the Retribution traveled through hyperspace toward a secret human base, Lisa thought about everything she had learned. The Resistance was far more advanced and widespread than she had ever imagined. They had weapons that could destroy peacekeeper ships, technology that violated every alien restriction, and plans that could bring down the entire Confederation, but she also realized that this war would cost millions of lives, both human and alien. The Confederation would not surrender easily. They would use every weapon at their disposal to crush human rebellion. Entire worlds might be destroyed before the fighting ended. "Are you ready for what's coming?" Captain Voss asked, as if reading Lisa's thoughts. This won't be like the corporate wars or colonial conflicts humans fought before the aliens came. This will be total war across the galaxy. Billions of people will die. The aliens made that choice when they destroyed Eden Prime, Lisa replied. Firmly, when they murdered innocent people to prove their power over us. We didn't start this war, but we're going to finish it. Good, Voss said with approval. Because we're going to need leaders who understand what we're fighting for. Your mother signed the accords that put humanity in chains. Maybe it's time for her daughter to be the one who breaks them. The ship dropped out of hyperspace near what looked like an empty asteroid field. But as they approached, Lisa could see that it was actually a massive hidden base carved into the largest asteroid. Hundreds of human ships were docked there, with more under construction in concealed shipyards. Welcome to Firebase Alpha, Captain Voss said. One of 12 major bases we've built in secret over the past 20 years. From here, we coordinate resistance operations across 3 sectors of human space. As Lisa looked at the base, she realized that the war had already begun. The aliens just didn't know it yet. For 50 years, they had believed they controlled humanity completely. They thought humans were domesticated, broken, and harmless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The prey had become predators, and the hunt was about to begin. The galaxy would never be the same again. Lisa smiled as she watched human fighters patrol the asteroid field. After 50 years of humiliation and oppression, humanity was finally ready to show the aliens what they really were. Not victims, not prisoners, not pets to be controlled and managed. They were humans, and humans did not forgive. They did not forget. And they definitely did not surrender. 6 months after Lisa Chun's rescue, the Human Liberation Fleet was ready to send their message to the galaxy. Firebase Alpha had become the command center for the largest military operation in human history. Admiral Lisa Chun, promoted after proving her commitment to the cause, stood in the main command center, watching holographic displays that showed human fleets across dozens of star systems. The plan was simple in concept but devastating in execution. At exactly 1200 hours Galactic Standard Time, every peacekeeper monitoring station in human space would be destroyed simultaneously. Supply convoys carrying resources stolen from human worlds would be ambushed. Communication relays that allowed the aliens to coordinate their activities would be turned into expanding clouds of debris. All fleet commanders report ready, Captain Voss announced from her position at the tactical station. She had been promoted to Admiral Voss and now commanded the 3rd Attack Fleet. Operation Liberation is go in 30 seconds. Lisa looked around the command center at the faces of the men and women who had spent their lives preparing for this moment. These were not the broken, compliant humans the aliens expected. These were warriors who had hidden their true nature for 50 years, waiting for the chance to show the galaxy what they really were. Begin Operation Liberation, Lisa ordered across human space. The carefully coordinated attack began. Peacekeeper. Stations that had monitored human activities for decades suddenly found themselves under assault by ships that appeared out of nowhere. The aliens had grown comfortable in their superiority, confident that humans lacked both the technology and the will to resist. They were wrong on both counts. The monitoring station above New Gettysburg, where Lisa had once served, was the first to die. Human stealth ships materialized around the alien facility and opened fire with weapons that tore through peacekeeper shields like they were made of paper. The station's automated distress call was cut off after 3 seconds on the planet. Below, human ground forces emerged from hidden bunkers and began destroying alien mining equipment. The peacekeepers had taken everything valuable from New Gettysburg, but they had left the planet's population alive. That population now turned on their oppressors with 50 years of accumulated rage. Admiral Chun, one of the communication officers, called out, "We're receiving reports from all sectors. Peacekeeper casualties are running at 97%. Total tactical surprise achieved," Lisa nodded grimly. The aliens had never expected humans to be capable of such coordinated violence. They had seen human compliance for so long that they had forgotten humans were originally predators who had fought their way to the top of their planet's food chain. The second phase of the operation began an hour later. Human fleets that had been hiding in the outer reaches of various star systems revealed themselves and began attacking alien supply lines. Convoys carrying resources stolen from human worlds found themselves facing warships they had never seen before. Admiral Morrison's second fleet intercepted a massive Krell convoy near the Proxima system. 50 alien cargo ships protected by 20 peacekeeper escorts were carrying grain that had been taken from human agricultural worlds. The convoy's commander probably expected any human attack to be easily repelled. Instead, the human ships used tactics that the galaxy had never seen. They attacked from multiple directions simultaneously, their quantum drives allowing them to appear anywhere on the battlefield instantly. The Krell ships, designed for their collective hive mind, could not adapt quickly enough to counter human unpredictability. Enemy convoy destroyed, Morrison reported over the communication network. Cargo ships eliminated. All escort vessels destroyed, no human casualties. Similar reports flooded in from across human space. Alien supply lines were being systematically destroyed by human forces that fought with a ferocity and intelligence that shocked their enemies. The Confederation had grown soft during their 50,000 years of peace. They had forgotten that. Warfare was about more than superior technology, but the real message was being prepared for transmission from Firebase Alpha. Lisa stood before a communication array that would broadcast her words to every inhabited system in the galaxy. This time, there would be no peacekeepers to cut off her signal. People of the galaxy, Lisa began, her voice carrying to billions of alien beings across thousands of worlds. I am Admiral Lisa Chun of the human species. For 50 years, humanity has lived under the oppression of the Galactic Confederation. We have been restricted, monitored, and controlled like dangerous animals in a zoo. The holographic displays around the command center showed alien communication networks carrying her transmission throughout Confederation space. She could imagine the shock and confusion as aliens who had considered humans helpless prey suddenly realized they were listening to a predator. The Confederation told us that we were members of a great galactic community, Lisa continued. But members are not murdered for refusing unreasonable demands. Members are not robbed of their resources and achievements. Members are not treated like prisoners in their own homes. Lisa paused for a moment, thinking of Eden Prime and the 12,000 innocent people who had died there. Their deaths had awakened something in humanity that the aliens should have left sleeping. 6 months ago, the Krell species murdered 12,000 humans on the world of Eden Prime. They used biological weapons to punish our people for refusing to let their children starve. The Confederation Council called it an accident. We call it genocide. Reports continued to flow in from the ongoing military operations. Human forces were winning victory after victory against alien defenders, who had no idea how to fight an enemy that refused to follow their rules. Peacekeeper fleets were being destroyed by ships that appeared out of nowhere and vanished before effective retaliation was possible. For 50 years you believed you had tamed humanity, Lisa said, her voice growing harder. You thought we were broken, domesticated, harmless. You were wrong. We were never tamed. We were patient, we were learning, we were preparing. The tactical displays showed the scope of human preparation. Secret bases throughout the galaxy were revealing themselves, launching fleets that had been hidden for decades. Research facilities that the aliens had never suspected existed were producing weapons and ships at an incredible rate. While you watched our official activities, we were building in the shadows, Lisa continued. While you monitored our permitted research, we were developing technologies you never imagined. While you congratulated yourselves on controlling human aggression, we were studying your weaknesses and planning your downfall. Admiral Voss approached Lisa with a status report. All primary objectives achieved, Admiral. Peacekeeper monitoring. Capability in human space has been reduced by 94%. Supply line disruption is at 87% effectiveness. Enemy communications are in chaos. Lisa nodded but continued her broadcast. The military victories were important, but the real message was what came next. The Galactic Confederation is finished, Lisa announced to the galaxy. Your 50,000 years of imposed peace end today. Humanity will no longer submit to your authority. We will no longer accept your restrictions. We will no longer pretend that you are our superiors. On the tactical displays, Lisa could see Confederation fleets beginning to respond to the human attacks. But their responses were slow and predictable, following tactical doctrines that had not changed in millennia. Human commanders who had studied those doctrines for decades were easily countering every alien move. You have a choice, Lisa continued. You can accept the new reality and negotiate with humanity as equals, or you can try to maintain your domination through force. If you choose force, you will learn what happens when you threaten a species that evolved by defeating every predator on their planet. The first major Confederation response came in the Alpha Centauri system, where a Zephyrian battle fleet attempted to retake the mining facilities that humans had liberated. The alien fleet consisted of 12 capital ships and 40 escorts, commanded by experienced officers who had fought in the last interspecies conflict centuries ago. They faced a human defense force of only 8 ships commanded by Admiral Torres, a former mining engineer who had spent 30 years secretly studying Zephyrian tactics. The battle lasted less than an hour. Admiral Chun, Torres reported over the communication network. Enemy fleet eliminated. Their crystal ships are beautiful, but they shatter real nice when you hit them with quantum torpedoes. Lisa smiled grimly. The aliens were learning that their technological advantages meant nothing when they faced an enemy that understood their weaknesses better than they understood human strengths. The humans you thought you knew were an act, Lisa continued her broadcast. We showed you what you wanted to see, compliant citizens who accepted your authority. But underneath that act, we remained what we have always been. We are hunters, we are survivors. We are the species that looked at a galaxy full of older, more advanced civilizations and decided we belonged here too. More reports arrived from across human space. Alien mining operations were being destroyed or captured. Peacekeeper garrisons were surrendering rather than face human assault forces that fought with tactics they could not understand. The careful system of control that the Confederation had built over 50 years was collapsing in a single day. Some of you may be wondering if humanity can be reasoned with, Lisa said, her voice becoming almost conversational. If perhaps this is all a misunderstanding that can be resolved through diplomacy, let me be clear, we are beyond reason. We are beyond negotiation. We are beyond forgiveness. The holographic displays showed the advancing positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. They were not just attacking Confederation forces in human space. They were pushing into alien territory, liberating worlds that had been oppressed by Confederation policies, offering protection to species that had grown tired of alien domination. We offered you partnership 50 years ago, continued. You chose to make us your prisoners instead. We showed you restraint and patience for half a century. You mistook our self-control for weakness. We tried to prove we could be civilized. Members of your galactic community, you responded by murdering our children. Admiral Voss approached with another report. Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from peacekeeper forces in 17 systems. Some of their commanders are asking for terms. No terms, Lisa replied firmly. They surrender unconditionally or they die? Pass that message to all fleet commanders. You had 50,000 years to learn wisdom, Lisa said to the galaxy. Instead, you chose to learn arrogance. You had the chance to guide humanity's development through partnership and mutual respect. Instead, you chose oppression and control. You could have had our friendship. You chose to earn our hatred. The tactical situation was becoming clear. Confederation forces throughout human space were either destroyed, retreating, or surrendering. The aliens had built their entire system of control on the assumption that humans could never effectively resist. That assumption had been catastrophically wrong. The Galactic Confederation is hereby dissolved, Lisa announced. Your councils, your laws, your treaties, and your authority over other species are null and void. Any attempt to restore Confederation control will be met with overwhelming force. Reports began arriving of alien civilian populations fleeing border systems as human fleets advanced. The predators had become prey, and they did not like the feeling. In place of your failed Confederation, humanity offers a new arrangement. Lisa continued. Individual species may negotiate bilateral agreements with us based on mutual respect and equality. Those who choose cooperation will find us generous partners. Those who choose continued hostility will find us implacable enemies. The broadcast was nearing its end, but Lisa had one final message for the galaxy. Remember this day, she said, her voice filled with quiet menace. Remember that you created this situation through your own choices. Remember that humanity offered you peace and you chose war. Remember that we tried to be civilized and you forced us to become savage. Lisa paused, looking directly into the camera as if she could see every alien being in the galaxy. We are human, she said simply. We do not forgive. We do not forget, and we never, ever surrender. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. In a single day, the Galactic Confederation had lost control of human space and faced the reality that their greatest fear had come true. The dangerous species they had tried to contain had broken free and revealed capabilities that no one had suspected. The age of human dominance in the galaxy had begun. And it had started. With a simple message, we're done playing nice.